Okay, welcome back to this episode of Cooking with Kiari. Now, you can see my audio isn't matching up to my video. That's because I recorded this entire video in slow motion, so I've had to fasten it back up. And that means I lose the audio, so I'm going to do a voiceover. So just ignore my mouth, okay? So this is the pot that I got you for Christmas. I got you the green version, but they're the exact same amount of litres. And you've got it on a high heat, and I'm just going to put some water in it if I haven't already. I can't actually tell. Wish I had audio. Anyway, so what you're going to want to use is you can basically use whatever vegetables you want, but I've got onions, potatoes, carrots, cauliflower, cabbage, and broccoli. And you're also going to want some beef stock. You can either do beef stock cubes in water, or you can do beef stock like the actual liquid beef stock, as well as a half a pot of water, even more maybe, and then also a kilo of beef mince. All right, what you're going to want to do is wait until your pot is hot enough. So you drop a little piece of mince in, and if it's like sizzles straight away, a really good sizzle, you're good to put the rest of your meat in. Otherwise, you're going to like not... It does something weird to the meat if you don't let it heat up enough first. So you want to pop in all of your mince, get yourself a wooden spoon, and then you want to go ahead and break up all of that mince. So, in doing so, you want to make sure you sort of brown it a little bit, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to be stewing it. So you just want to give it a little bit of a brown. You can take the watery piss out of it again. Oopsie daisy. I think I just said oopsie daisy on the video too. If you want to take the watery piss out of it, you can. It doesn't really matter because you are stewing it. But again, you don't want to do it with the mistake we did, leaving it in with the lasagna, which is a bit of a whoopsie daisies. Just made a big lasagna soup. So go ahead and break up all of that mince best as you can, like I'm doing. All right, so this is how you want it to be, basically. So it's still got a little bit of red in it, but you just want to sort of brown it off a little bit. I haven't removed the piss out of it, as you can see. And then you're going to want to add in a litre of water, and then I get myself one of those already made beef stocks, and I'm pretty sure I put the whole thing in. Let's see what we do here. Here we go, beef stock. I always get the continental one. I think continental is just a good brand in general. Here we go. Let's see how much I put in. Yeah, I'm going to put that whole thing in. I can tell by the way I'm holding it. Whole thing of that in, which is another litre. So a litre of stock and a litre of water. All right, so what you want to do here, you want to keep your container that you use for your meat. So when you are peeling your potatoes, carrots, and the snippets off of the cauliflower and whatever, all your scraps, you put in the container. If you've got a worm farm or compost, you can chuck them in there. Or what I do is I just sprinkle them throughout the garden, and it just gives a little bit of enrichment to your soil. So I use 2 onions, I use a couple of potatoes, a couple of carrots, an entire head of broccoli, an entire head of cauliflower, and a quarter of a cabbage. And you can basically put in whatever vegetables you will so desire. I don't use peas because peas give a really furry texture, so I do leave out the tea. And again, if you do want this knife was a little expensive. I think it was like $110, but it's from Men with a Pot, and it is the most versatile knife I have. I love this knife, so I use it for pretty much everything. So you're going to want to dice up your onions, add in the florets of your cauliflower and your broccoli, break them up a little bit so then you've got enough throughout the entire stew. And you want to cube your potatoes. I usually cube them like half them, then half them, then half them, and then you know what I mean? So you pretty much get like 8 pieces of potato out of each potato. And then you want to cut your carrots into circles. That's pretty much how I do it. And then add them all into your pot. All right, so at this point you've added in all of your vegetables and it's come to a simmer. You want to add in your flavouring. So what I've got these Massel, I use the Massel beef stock cubes. I add in a couple of those, but I also add in some Worcestershire sauce, and add in, let's just watch how much I'm putting in pretty much for a basis. I put in a decent amount. I love Worcestershire sauce. So put in some of that. Now I know it's weird, but you do want to put in some Vegemite. I think that really helps. See, these are the ones I get. Massel stock cubes, they're the beef ones. I put in, I can't remember if I put in 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure I put in 2. Yeah, there we go. I put in 2. And then I also put in a nice spoonful of Vegemite. If you have like a recipe and it's just missing something, it just needs a little bit of more like a roundness, Vegemite is the go. Vegemite works for so many things. It's quite versatile. So you want to get a little bit of Vegemite into your stew and just sort of pop it in there, and it will melt on its own after a while. So just pop that in there, and then you're going to want to turn this down onto a low heat and just let it like lightly simmer for 1 to 2 hours or so until your carrots are soft, because obviously the carrots are going to be what takes the longest to cook because carrots are the hardest. Basically until your carrots are soft, and then Robert's your mother's brother, or in your case, Robert's your roommate. You have yourself a grandpa stew. See how chunky it is? Now, another thing, you want to keep that jug of water, you want to keep it full of water at all times, and just every 15 minutes or so, just come top it back up with water, because obviously you don't want it to reduce so much that you've got no broth, because the broth is one of the most flavorful parts. So you just want to be adding it, filling it back up with water, making sure that you're not just having the chunky bits of stew. You want the broth as well, because that's what really pulls the whole dish together. All right, so this is after a couple of hours of simmering it. As you can see, I've been adding in bit by bit of water just to keep it filled up, because you don't understand, until you've done this soup, you don't understand how quickly the broth goes, because all those vegetables, soak up the water. So it's important to have a lot of broth. Now, if you can see the way the light's hitting on it, do you see all those little bubbles? So that is how obviously when you make lava lamps and whatever, how the fat, oil is separated from water. Obviously you know that. If you want to, and it's not very important, some people like doing it. Some people are adamant that you must remove that. It's basically called fat scum. So basically you want to go ahead, sometimes people do it, it's not going to focus, but that's fine. They go ahead and basically just run the spoon over the top, over and over and over and over and over again kind of thing, until you get rid of all of those little bits of fat. It's optional, it's up to you. If you can be bothered, then go ahead. You can see that how much I'm struggling to get this motherfucker to focus right now. Oh my god, trying to do the makeup trip they do with the palettes. Anyway, so yes, you can see if you want to do that, be my guest. My trick with that is, what I do is when it's obviously cooled down, I put it in the fridge with the lid off, and the fats will solidify on the top of the actual soup. They will literally make a big fatty crust, because obviously you've cooled it down. But you have to let it cool down on its own first, and then put it in the fridge when it's already cold, and the fats will solidify in the fridge. And then what you do is you just use your hands, and you can pick them up and remove the fat that way. I think that's the best way to do it, but it's up to you. If you want to be fancy, go ahead and do it with the spoon. But I think it's better to put it in the fridge and be able to just pick it up on your own accord. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. And there you have it. That is Grandpa's stew. It is really great for when you're sick and you're not feeling in the mood for salty chicken. This is just a really lovely little soup. Best served with, I think, just bread. No butter, no toast. I think it's just served with nice, fluffy, Wonder White bread. So hopefully you enjoy this recipe as much as I do, and have a great time cooking it.